This video is sponsored by Fiverr. I do a lot of building in The Sims 4, and one thing that I really struggle with sometimes are ideas for builds, as well as floor plans and where to place items within that build. And I know that a lot of you struggle with the same things as me. So with the help of Fiverr, we managed to hire a freelancer to help me redesign an entire apartment in The Sims 4. This includes the overall floor plan, the design, the theme, the color schemes, item placement, everything. And the entire process was really easy. The freelancer was a joy to work with. They were really nice, very professional, and I'm going to show you the design that they came up with for me to recreate in The Sims 4. So this is the floor plan that the very talented freelancer came up with for me to recreate, and it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment with an open plan kitchen, living and dining area, and it's got kind of a really nice boho theme to it as well, which we will move on to in just a moment when we look onto more of the detailed interior shots. But this was really handy for me in terms of floor planning in The Sims 4, because it's one thing that I probably struggle the most with is coming up with my own floor plans, and I'm a very visual person as well, so this was really handy. This is a shot of the living room, and I loved the color schemes. Basically the brief that I gave the freelancer was a really warm, spacious and boho themed apartment, and they absolutely nailed this design, and I knew that it was something that I could recreate in The Sims quite easily, which was really nice. This is the main bedroom, and I could already pick out items that I was thinking, oh well, I can use that from the catalogue. I think that could work quite well. Again, the color schemes are very in keeping with the overall theme of the apartment. This is another shot of the living room. I just thought this was so beautiful, like the green with the burnt orange I loved, and then obviously paired with the creams, and then some of the really interesting sort of patterns as well with the rugs and the wall coverings too. I just thought it worked superbly, and the fireplace in the corner, absolutely loved that. This is one of the bathrooms, and I knew again I could recreate this quite easily, so that was really important to me. Another shot of the main bedroom there. Loved the artwork, although I did know that this was going to be a slight challenge in The Sims 4 itself, but I think this is just stunning. Another view of the open plan living space. You can see the kitchen here, which I loved. The kitchen is so airy and bright, and the designer really did get this design just how I wanted it. Another shot of the bathroom. I knew that I would have to kind of try and replicate this as best I could, but I love the color schemes and everything that goes along with it. Another shot of the kitchen. Look at it. It's beautiful. All the details, the plants, just everything. I love this. This is like the dining area just next to this fireplace here. And fun fact, when I was actually working on this in The Sims 4, it was a little bit difficult because I was quite restricted with space. We were working from a pre-designed apartment inside Myshuno, so we'll discuss that when we move on to the building process of this video. The fireplace in the corner, yes, loved that so much. Another shot of the bedroom there, really liked this. I love the floating shelves as well with the TV above. I just thought that was a really nice feature. That kitchen, I used this as a direct reference when I was working from these designs, and it was relatively straightforward to replicate in The Sims, which I was quite surprised at. But that is pretty much it for the designs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump on into The Sims 4, and we're going to talk through the process of me designing this apartment based on the freelancer's work. So I actually chose 19 Culpepper House for this particular apartment just because I thought the overall shape of it would work really well, and it offered us the opportunity to add a balcony onto this apartment too, which I thought was just a really nice feature. So what I will do is I will pop the floor plan up on the screen for you now so that you can see what I was working from when I was coming up with this overall floor plan for the apartment. And as I was saying at the beginning, it was just incredibly handy to have that and know that the freelancer had just designed this with this apartment in mind, which I thought was just so wonderful. I was quite tentative about putting the windows in at first because I wasn't really sure what sort of windows to put in here, but I did land on these ones. I think they're just from base game, which I think work quite well. And then we move on to the kitchen first, because I think that was one of the first screenshots that I'd actually come across, and I just figured that would sort of help me to work out where all of the other items would be going within the apartment as well. So this is what I decided to work on first, trying to stick as close to the reference images as possible. And bear in mind, the Freelancer was fully aware that I would be recreating this in The Sims 4, but obviously with them not being a Sims 4 player, they really didn't know what sort of items I had access to within the catalogue that we have at our disposal. So the fact that they were able to create this entire apartment for me was, and I didn't really ever struggle thinking, oh, well, I don't really have an item like that, so I can't really work that in here, apart from the throws over the bed and the sofa as well in the living space, but you know, small things. So loved working on the kitchen here. I did have to sort of work out where the sink placement was going to be, because in the reference image, which I have already put up on the screen for you, you might have noticed that the sink was off to the right hand side in front of the window, which of course is where I would prefer to have the sink, because you'd be washing the dishes, doing whatever, and looking out onto the big beautiful landscape of San Myshuno. Unfortunately, it just, when I was adding like the curtains, it was clipping and looking a little bit funky, so I did decide to move the sink. But other than that, I did take some creative liberties here and there, but there really weren't too many to sort of like navigate from, if that makes sense. Obviously the plants I couldn't get quite spot on because the plants were quite specific, but wherever there was a plant, I put a plant, and I also put some extra plants in as well, because it wouldn't be a RachelPedd build without me putting plenty of plants in. So then I do quickly sort of start outlining the living space as well, so I'll pop on the screen a reference image from the Freelancer for you so that you can see this as well. Obviously I know that we went through them at the beginning of the video, but I think it's really nice to see the side-by-side comparisons as I'm working as well. And then what I'll do at the end is we'll do like a real-time overview of the apartment, and then we'll pop the reference images on the screen again, just so that we can see how close we actually managed to get this apartment to the Freelancer's vision. And I had a really good time with this. It actually made me realize that I decorate in a certain way in The Sims 4, and you know, when I'm working from reference images, such incredible reference images that have been tailor-made for me for a design that I came up with, it was more like, okay, well, let's do something a little bit different. So it brought me out of my shell in that respect. So that's just another reason why this has been such an incredible experience with Fiverr as well. I love the fact that we had like a green accent wall in this apartment. I love that so much. And I couldn't quite find any burnt orange chairs in the catalogue, so I did end up going for these brownie orange ones, which I'm not actually mad about, to be completely honest. I think these look really nice. We put a little foot poof on the floor here as well, because I did notice that there was one in the reference image, so I did decide to put that one there. The TV unit, Dream Home Decorator, came in so handy for this, and again, it's just not something that I would typically add in my builds, so to be able to do this in this apartment was just loved it so much. The corner fireplace, genius. And I know I spoke about this at the beginning when we were going through the reference images in a bit more detail, but the corner fireplace, I love that so much. Again, not something that I would think to add in my Sims builds, but I might be thinking twice about that. Like, maybe not in like my normal sort of suburban family homes, but definitely in more modern spaces. I just thought that was such a beautiful accent to the overall apartment, and I was so thrilled that we had a fireplace that was like 90% matched to the fireplace in the Freelancer's work. So I was thrilled with that. Obviously, you might be thinking, ooh, it's looking a little bit cramped over here. Yes, it absolutely is looking a little bit cramped over here. I really wanted to add this dining table here. I'm not sure. It might be functional. I think this could actually be a functional space. It probably just looks a little bit scary. But I was more just going off of the Freelancer's work and not necessarily worrying too much about it being a functional space. I was just trying to work out how I could match it as best I could. But I think looking at this now, I think when I was doing it at the time, it scared me. But looking at it now, I'm thinking, actually, I think this could work okay. So fingers crossed. Let me know in the comments down below if your sim can use that dining table. I don't think they can light the fireplace. Let's just like talk about the elephant in the room for a second. but it's okay. At least everything else I'm pretty sure is functional. And then I just kind of go backwards and forwards between the 3 areas within this space because I was finding different items to add here and there. I loved the fact that the Freelancer didn't clutter up the kitchen too much, because if you've been around my channel for a while, you will know that typically my spaces in general are quite cluttered, but particularly my kitchens tend to come out quite cluttered. So I was really sort of pleasantly surprised by the fact that the Freelancer didn't clutter up the kitchen too much. That was just really refreshing for me, you know, to kind of let loose a little bit more and just enjoy the process rather than be panicking about, okay, well, I've got to add all of these items and make it look like a lived-in space. I still think it looks like a lived-in space. I just don't think it's necessarily what I would usually create, but that is, again, just something that was really nice about this entire project, was me doing something completely different from what I'm used to. And then this is where we just start adding some of the clutter that I was just talking about to the kitchen space, obviously the minimal clutter. I might have to try doing this in my builds, to be honest, because it was very freeing. It just felt really right, you know? I did have to sort of create this sort of entrance area just on the left there, because part of the floor plan, I think it probably would look something quite like this in real life, but, you know, we didn't get a picture of that particular area, so I did have to kind of think, okay, well, what can I make this look like the cushions on the bench near the fireplace. There weren't any cushions there, but I decided to add some just because they looked really nice, so I decided to do that. And that's pretty much this living space done. I think I add this lamp and then just change some of the lighting because it was looking a little bit overwhelming there just for a second, and then I move on to, I think, the first bedroom, which I thought turned out really beautifully, and I thought it was a really nice space. I love the dark woods that we went with in here. Normally I would be like, whoa, dark woods with like a lighter wood flooring is just a no-no from me, but I think in this space it works really nicely. You know, seeing the reference images that I was working from were definitely helping me sort of come up with this vision for what I wanted this apartment to be. And I can imagine that the sim that lives here is maybe a writer or an artist, or I think they're likely a single sim. I don't think they necessarily live with anyone. I think maybe, you know, the guest bedroom is used as a guest bedroom when maybe family members or close friends come into town. But I think they're a bit of a lone wolf, you know, and I love that. You know, sometimes I really like creating spaces for singular sims because you can really think about what sort of sim they would be. Yeah, I think they're quite artistic. I think they've got a little bit of a flair for interior design as well. I just think they enjoy probably meditation, relaxation, and just being in their apartment, because I'm going to be honest, like if I lived in this apartment, I probably would never leave. You know, it's a beautiful space and I was really pleased with how it came out overall. So you'll have to let me know if in the comments down below, let me know if this is like a more of a design and style you want to see me do more of on the channel. I'd definitely be really interested to hear about that. And then also, what's your favorite design style? Like, how do you enjoy decorating in The Sims? Is it like classic suburban? Is it boho? Is it modern? Is it contemporary? Is it like super cluttered? Is it, you know, sort of like 1950s or 60s themed? Like, just let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always really intrigued to see how people like decorate in The Sims and like what your favorite sort of style is to decorate in. And then I decided to sort the bathrooms out before I move on to the second bedroom, just because I was quite intrigued to see if I could pull these off. And I do make some design changes because I remembered that we had the sleek bathroom kit, and I was like, oh, if this apartment doesn't call for the sleek bathroom kit, I don't know what apartment does. So I do decide to just add a few items in here. It's not exactly as the reference image, like these bathrooms, but I think they're really the only rooms that don't like stick very close to the reference images, and that's just because of the items that we have at our disposal in the Sims 4 catalogue. So, but I was still really pleased with them. They're still not bathrooms that I would typically create, so I was still really pleased with them. And then, so we've got like a full bathroom, which is the ensuite. And then we've just got like a bathroom with just a toilet and a sink in as well. I'm pretty sure that's what the floor plan was trying to get at. So that's what I decided to do in the overall design as well. So they're the 2 bathrooms done. The living space is done. One of the bedrooms is done, and then we move on to this very awkwardly shaped hallway. I think in the reference image, the hallway is probably more square than this, but again, because I'm sort of working within the constraints of the already built apartment in The Sims 4 in Myshuno, I just had to make it work. So I'm hoping I achieved that. I think I did. I was just trying to think, because again, I didn't have any reference images to work from for this particular space. So I was just thinking, okay, well, what's in keeping with the overall theme and design of the apartment? And this is what I landed on. And again, using items that I wouldn't usually use, which was just really refreshing and something that I would like to do more of this year on the channel. I would like to use different items, you know, explore different themes of building and decorating as well. And just, yeah, like this definitely opened that up for me. So just put a little bit of artwork on the wall here as well. And then we move on to the final room, which is the main bedroom. Sorry, this is the main bedroom. I think the other one's the guest bedroom. I think I got them confused. So I went like completely rogue on this one because we didn't have any reference images for the second bedroom, which is completely fine. I did say to the freelancer that maybe it's okay to not include the second bedroom, just to maybe make it a little bit like more exciting for me to try and work out how can I make this different to the other bedroom, but still in keeping with the overall theme of the apartment. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this came out. It's modern, it's chic, it's sleek, the color schemes are beautiful, and I love this bed as well, because it's not a bed that I would usually use. But yeah, this is just where I try and work out the wardrobe situation, the storage. I loved the floor to ceiling, well, the not quite floor to ceiling, but the really tall mirrors opposite the bed. I loved that. The tapestry on here as well, although I think I changed the swatch out from this one to a different one slightly. And then I just put a little cushion on this chair just to try and bring in some of that cream and break up the chocolate brown that we've got going on over here. But I don't think I've ever used that chair before in my life. So again, really refreshing for me to use that. And then I was like, oh, should we use a different plant in the corner? And I was like, no, let's not do that. And then we very quickly decorate the balcony. There was no balcony on the floor plan. I didn't mention a balcony to the freelancer because I wasn't really sure which apartment unit I was going to work from when I was creating this apartment. So we very quickly decorate the space out here. I wanted it to just be a very zen, very relaxing place for your Sims to enjoy. You know, they can enjoy their morning cup of coffee, a glass of wine after a long day at work. They can invite friends over and just enjoy the landscape. Whatever they need to do out here, they can do. And I loved these big doors off the main living space too. I just thought that was so beautiful. But that is pretty much it for the designing process in The Sims. So what we'll do now is we'll hop back on into game and we'll do a real-time overview and tour of the apartment, and we can have a look at the reference images, compare them, and see how it all turned out. Okay, so here we are back in game, and let's pop the reference image for the floor plan up on the screen somewhere so that you can see if did we manage to recreate the floor plan. I think we did, and I think we did it quite successfully. And also, I've never ever considered creating this floor plan in 19 Culpepper House before as well. So another reason that this collaboration has been so amazing, just because I would never have thought to do a floor plan like this in this unit. So floor plan will have been put up, and then let's move on to the main living, kitchen, dining space. Honestly, I am thrilled with how this turned out. I really am. I added a few items, I don't know if you noticed, just on here, because it was looking in The Sims, it was looking a little bit plain. So I put a little plant here, some nice candles, these chairs. I'm obsessed with them. I am so obsessed. I love how they look. The sofa, I wish we had throws. Honestly, I wish we had throws in this game, and I've spoken about this many times, so I'm not going to harp on about it here. But that would have just finished this look off so beautifully. And my favorite corner of the entire apartment is this one here with the fireplace. Can you imagine just relaxing here? You can look out and just really take in everything and enjoy the warmth of the corner fireplace. Genius move on the Freelancer's part. Loved that so much. Our little dining space, which I'm hoping your Sims can use. I'm gonna have to see that for myself and just see what the situation is. The kitchen as well. I mean, I think we pretty much nailed it. Although the sink's here. I was about to say, where's the sink gone? We moved it here into the island just because I think it works a little bit better. Obviously, if you're wanting to move your Sims in here, I would add like a dishwasher, a microwave, a coffee machine, and things of that nature. But I was trying to just replicate the Freelancer's work from Fiverr, just absolutely as best I could. So that's that area there. We've already gone through the living room, and then we've got like this little odd. It's not really odd, but like this is where you walk into the main living area here, which I think flows beautifully. I love how these two look together, like the unit and then the floating shelf with the artwork and the plants on. I think that works really, really well. And then we've got like the main entryway to the apartment. I think on the floor plan this is slightly smaller, but I had to adapt it ever so slightly in The Sims just to make it work. And then the first bedroom we worked on, listen, I'm not mad about this at all. I think it's beautiful. I love the way it turned out. Who knew that mixing dark woods with light woods with creams with splashes of black in here, like who knew that would work so nicely? I didn't. Honestly, I was like, yes, love this. I love all the plants that we've got in here as well. I did notice in the Freelancer's work there were quite a lot of plants in there, so that's something that I definitely wanted to bring into this apartment too. And then like the bathrooms, I'm obsessed with them. I think they're so in keeping with the overall theme of the apartment, and they're so out of my comfort zone. Like this does not look like one of my bathrooms at all, but that is such a good thing. It really is. And then we've got our little mini toilet here, which I love this. And if you're wanting to maybe add some more gameplay and functionality, I would perhaps add a stacked washer and dryer in here, probably in this corner. I think that would be just like chef's kiss, icing on the cake. So definitely would recommend that if you've got the laundry day pack. And then lastly, the main bedroom. I love this. I went rogue with this, remember, and I think it turned out really nicely. I genuinely do. Although looking back, I've got a funny feeling that the Freelancer gave me the picture for the main bedroom as opposed to the guest bedroom. But it's okay. It's okay. I think I chose well because of just the overall shape and size of this room. I just thought it worked better with this design. And I think this works beautifully with this design. So I'm thrilled with how this came out. And again, like not a design that I would usually gravitate towards. So I'm just so proud of this work. With the help of Fiverr, creating this amazing apartment in The Sims 4 was so easy. If you have an idea, you don't have to do everything solo in any area of life. Check out my link in the description box below, which will give you 10% off your first Fiverr order. Try Fiverr for yourselves, delegate tasks, save time, and work with skilled professionals who can help bring your ideas to life.